guys, and welcome to Real Food. Join us for a spoiler-filled review, at least some mild spoilers for the new Kung Fu Panda movie.
Kung Fu Panda
Kung Fu
4.
Panda 4. Oh boy. Okay, first thing, let's get into how good it looked. What do you have to say about that?
Oh yeah, it does look good. Like they have a lot of great like lighting effects. If it's like an overcast, lights peeking through some of the clouds, it looks great. For as these movies progress, as they keep making them, the technology gets better, fur gets better, textures get better, lighting, everything like that. So that does looks a lot better than the last one in terms of that kind of thing.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the look of it too. Mostly Poe's fur is what stood out to me. The fur looked great. True to form, like all of the other Kung Fu Panda movies, it does remain timeless, at least in my opinion, too, because they avoid any kind of like pop culture references. There is, if you catch it though, an instrumental version of Crazy Train during one of the fight sequences, but
If you're dumb like me, it's just
but no, I think it's well done. There's really only one fart joke for a kids movie, which is also pretty good. I really enjoyed the performances. What did you think?
Jack Black is always good. Even Dustin Hoffman's good. I didn't feel like the villain this time was as good as some of our previous villains, especially like Ian McShane from the first one, or even Gary Oldman from number two. I'm not sure. Like Aquafina just isn't. She just in this movie, it just wasn't working for me. Kind of felt like she was never in her character. Like whatever she spoke was never in the scenario she was in or the surroundings she was in. It always just felt like her acting was like a person in a recording booth. So that was kind of like for me, I was kind of bumped up against that. But like the regulars are always great. Jack Black is just the best. Yeah, and again just suffers from a villain that's not as strong personality wise
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with
in
that. Like
terms of performance.
compared to the other villains, not as good, but I still enjoyed the chameleon voiced by Viola Davis. I didn't mind her. I thought she was good, but you're right. Compared to the others, maybe not as memorable.
Yeah.
Having a chameleon villain though is just amazing. Somebody who can become anything is pretty cool.
And the way she transformed, I thought that animation was
Yes.
really cool looking. It felt a little bit more like the animation on the chameleon felt like it was like Spider-Verse, a little bit more like jittery than usually what these Kung Fu Panda animation is very fluid. So I thought that was really cool looking.
And I didn't mind Aquafina for what it's worth. Definitely better than the Little Mermaid movie. If anyone's seen that, not as annoying. I really didn't mind her.
I don't know. I feel like they're setting up spoilers. They're setting her up to be the new Dragon Warrior, and I'm just like, she's no Poe.
I
No
mean, who can compare to Jack Black as Poe? But yeah, fine by me. Okay, also, in my opinion, again, no offense to the Furious Five, but they're good. But in this particular movie, they were not included. And I think that was really to make room for both of Poe's dad. You've got Goose Dad and Panda Dad. So I actually liked that more. I love the dads. I have such a soft spot for the dads. And they had a really good B plot, which because the writing in these movies is so strong, Shifu doesn't approve. Um,
He's so grumpy.
because the writing is so strong in these movies, it like ties up so well, and just a really really good B plot, and one with the dads that I enjoyed.
I just felt like the writing at this time, all the elements were there, just felt a little bit more clunkier than the other ones. You just felt like, oh, that's going to come back. That line's going to come back. You just
Mm.
felt all the beats more
It was
than,
obvious for sure. There's yes,
yeah.
but I didn't mind that. I don't mind that. Sometimes when a plot is really well done and there's no fat and you just kind of like, know what's coming, I'm not mad about it.
I feel like I'm too hard on this because like I love the Kung Fu Panda movies. I think they're all really well written. And just this one, just for me, look, I'm just being hard on it because I love it so much. But I just didn't think it was up to par emotionally. It wasn't. I guess for Poe, I guess personal for him and his journey didn't. He just couldn't quite get there. I feel like I don't know. Like with the Furious Five thing that they're not in it. It just that's one of the elements I felt like you just didn't work in the movie. It felt very cheap
Mm.
in the absence of all those characters. You felt, especially since they show up. Spoilers,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not. They don't talk. It's kind of in the way that this villain is a chameleon, and we bring back old villains, and we see those old villains, but they also don't talk because they clearly didn't have the money to get those actors to perform the characters. That's a
Yeah,
little disappointing. They did bring back Ian McShane from the first movie, so he's back and he's pretty awesome. But you just wish I don't know.
I didn't actually have a problem with that. I had less of a problem with that than you did. I I think it's a 90-minute movie. You can only do so much in 90 minutes. So they like, I actually really liked that a big element of this movie was bringing back all of sorts of different things from previous movies. You've got trying to find a new dragon warrior, which is kind of like turning the first movie on its head. You've got trying to find inner peace, second movie, and you've got the spirit realm being opened up again, which is the third movie. And then you've got all of the bad guys from the other movies appearing too. But to your point, what's his name? Tai Lung is the only one who actually has like a speaking part in this. But I don't know, 90 minutes, I'd rather get in and get out. So I actually wasn't frustrated by that.
But that leads to another problem, I think, is the third act where it doesn't quite, like, it just feels a little bit rushed.
I
like
would agree with
you're not
that.
hitting all those emotional beats as much as you should, especially like there's a lot of, feels like there is a lot of setup.
The end does feel a little bit rushed, especially when the chameleon kind of like dies or whatever, and it's just like, okay, bye. She's just like going to the spirit world. So emotionally, I think we have differences in opinion on this because I don't want to feel too many emotions, and so I was just more chuckling throughout, which I enjoyed because it felt safer to me and I didn't have to cry.
Personally,
compared
I love
to
to
movies
get
2 and 3.
my heart torn out,
Yeah, well.
thrown on the ground, and stomped.
Yeah, well. Okay.
But even the music this time, how do you feel about the music?
Yeah, the music again. I think you pointed this out. There weren't like really original songs, so that's a disappointment because the music or the score from the 3 other movies is, I don't know if they each had original music, but like so memorable. You can hum every song, and I don't know, just really good music. Whereas this didn't have that, as far as I remember.
Yeah, there weren't those standouts. Like, sometimes you would watch, there's Kung Fu Panda 2, and there'd be the musical village, and you're like, oh, I want to hear that. Or even all the music, when all the Oogway themes and everything. It's like you miss kind of that, and you get the recycled themes from the old ones, but nothing besides that middle section you're saying, which is a...
Crazy Train?
Yeah.
Yeah, you got Crazy Train. Instrumental Crazy Train.
Yeah.
Keep an ear out for it. Another good thing with the characters, I thought, were they do this in all the movies really well. In Kung Fu Panda, they draw parallels in between Po and the other characters. So there's drawing parallels between Po in this movie and then also Awkwafina the Fox, and kind of how they're both orphans, but how they're both very influenced by the people that raised them, which then kind of like ties into one of the big themes of the movie, though, which is it is never too late to do the right thing. They also draw parallels, as they always do, again with Po and the bad guy. So in this case, the chameleon, and how she is kind of only out for herself and only doing things that serve herself, whereas he is very giving, even though that means he is an easy mark. So I thought, again, like in terms of the character development, they do that really well in this one too.
Right. Yeah, I just didn't feel like, in Kung Fu Panda 2, the lesson Po learns, he repeats back to the villain, and the villain can't accept it, which is his own downfall. In this one, I can't even remember what the lesson was that like Po learned that the villain didn't, or
I don't know if it's
to like step aside. It felt like the Po's whole story this time was like he had to learn to step aside and let someone else take over as a dragon warrior.
Yeah.
So was the fact that the villain didn't step aside and let another person...
I think it's less like lesson based or maybe plot based and more just like character based. I was seeing kind of like I thought they drew some parallels in between the different characters.
Right. It's just not as clean, I guess, as the other ones.
The last thing I'll mention, maybe, which I wasn't such a fan of, was, and I think we kind of both agreed on this, the villain chameleon had like 3 rules, which were obviously not good rules. It was don't trust anyone, somebody always gets hurt, and nobody cares about your feelings. And those get repeated by our protagonists at the end, as if it's almost kind of like a good thing. Like,
yeah, and then they do a shot of Po after she says like, the last line, and like as if he is accepting, not accepting, but he like is like, yeah,
it's a good thing.
It's a good thing, but it doesn't feel very good.
No, and you almost feel like, no, they should be disproving that these things matter. I guess they're using the chameleon's rules against her, so I guess they're not trying to give you like a mixed up message that way, but I don't know, it just feels weird to kind of like condone that message at all in a Kung Fu Panda movie, because they usually don't go there.
Well, especially since like Shifu's like, you don't have to use violence.
Yes, yeah, and they were drawing parallels again between like the two kind of different groups of people, one who was really against violence and one who loved violence. But the other theme too is change, all about change, which is
Yep.
a good theme and a good message that change is inevitable and accepting change.
And they even brought it up as a meta moment to almost talk about the series of like you need to pick a new dragon warrior. We need change. Sort of this doesn't become stale. This isn't about the broth doesn't become the soup broth doesn't become.
It's flavorful. It won't be flavorful if you don't keep changing things.
Right.
So you have to kind of like embrace change and adopt change, and that's the best way to move forward. Anyways, I think I liked it more than you. I know I liked it more than you. I really enjoyed it. Out of the 4, I would still put it in last place, but they're all very close.
I think now that I've seen it, I have to watch it again and like appreciate it more. Like, you know, because you feel like the whole time you're like, oh, is this going to come together? I hope this comes together. I hope I like it as much as the other one. So maybe I just need to see it again and you know, and push all that stuff aside and just kind of enjoy it.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I mean, I love these movies, and if I'm down, it's because I want to like really love it. I do, but I don't think. Would you rank them? How would you rank them?
I would rank it 2, 3, 1, 4.
2, 3, 1, 4. Okay, I would do 2, 1, 3, 4. So clearly it didn't, you know, blow our minds or anything.
Yeah, but still enjoyable.
Very enjoyable. You know, as far as these things go, it's way better than any of those Madagascars. It's better than like a I don't know, what's that, Onward or
Great series. Can't complain.
Yeah.
Check it out. Go and see it. Kung Fu Panda 4. I give this movie 4 stars out of 5.
4
on Letterboxd.
I get 3 out of 5 stars.
Wow.
Sorry.
That's so harsh.
I know. I feel bad. You know, that's just initial. That's my first reaction. I'll watch these again.
Okay. Bye.
Skadoosh. To smash.
Skadoosh.